XRP holders, let's get it going. I want to talk to you about the new kind of breaking news for the new week as we get into the Monday, May 19th XRP discussion. We're going to look at what exactly is happening. This is a big one. All right. This is going to tie into CME futures as well as a comment from Brad Garlinghouse we're going to break down right now in this video. We'll also kind of take a dive into the markets as it currently stands, as we see a lot of the top 100s and pretty much each and every single one of them are currently into the red. So everybody really expected a bloody Monday, and that's kind of what we're seeing here. But the interesting thing as we get into this discussion is where Bitcoin is at, trading at 1046. That's kind of where we left off the weekend, where Bitcoin touched or reclaimed a $107,000 price tag. Very interesting. And we're going to connect the dots on this one, get into the conversation with XRP today. So let's get it going. And for those of you that are new to the channel, make sure you all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and join us. We do talk crypto each and every single day. And for all you XRP holders that have been watching this channel through the struggles, through the trenches, back when XRP was below 60 cents and we were stuck in the courthouse talking SEC pretty much every single day. It's glad that we actually can talk about XRP on the move. Okay, so I think you guys all kind of agree with that as well. And let's get right now down into the XRP news as it currently stands. All right, and we're going to kick it all off. We're going to look at this post from Brad Garlinghouse. The launch of regulated XRP futures on the CME group marks a key institutional milestone for XRP, and we are very excited to report that Hidden Road cleared the first block trade on CME at the opening. So there you go. You can see it from CME Active Trader that XRP and micro XRP futures are now live to expose yourself to one of today's leading cryptos, right? So boom, that's kind of what we have. So on a nothing burger in terms of the price action, this is what we have good news to report on. And I'll talk a little bit about why I think that, XRP is down, what we're seeing in that regard. Before we get into it though, if you are new to my X page, give me a follow. There is a link down below in the description. At @tcryptomark is my handle. Appreciate all my followers on that platform. And I will post this video and my comments live on there a little bit later in the day. So make sure you give me a follow. Okay. And as we are on the topic of futures, okay, I want to share with you guys kind of what we have going on here. If you don't trade on BTCC, you're looking for a new exchange, spot and leverage trading, I have an exciting offer for you guys. 10% deposit on first-time deposits. This is where we look into even extra bonuses up to $10,000 plus per user with 40% lower trading fees using my link. This is an exchange that has been trusted by millions, 14 plus years in the industry. Over 300 plus crypto futures. So if you are a leverage trader, make sure it's right for you and where you're located. Understand the terms and conditions and check out BTCC. No VPN and KYC necessary. So make sure you do your due diligence and that this exchange is right for you with your local regulations. Okay, but up to 500x leverage. Like I said, spot and leverage trading. Links down below if you want to get started today. Okay. But as we're on the topic of kind of the price action and we want to look into it a little bit deeper, this is the trading view for XRP as it currently stands. And today, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see kind of how we are trading $2.34. Okay, so it was pretty much right here in the wee hours of last night. We started getting a little red candle forming, and it's nothing really of concern. Me personally, it's not financial advice. I'm just telling you guys how I feel about it. It was kind of a washout from the gains that I think Bitcoin had over the weekend. And it's funny, right? When Bitcoin's pumping, the market does its thing. But when Bitcoin's down, it seemingly looks like everybody has their finger on the trigger ready to dump and kind of exit their positions. And that's kind of what we saw overnight as you want to look at kind of what we have going on. It's a red candle. It's not a defining moment. I just think that right now we have so much emotion in the market. And if you look at all these big green candles, and I've talked about this in a lot of other altcoin videos that I do, look at all these big substantial red candles that do mimic kind of what we have going on right now. They always are followed up for the most part with another significant green move. And if we go back and we date this to Tuesday, April 8th, you can see kind of how we have trended upwards despite having all this, what you would call negativity in the market, right? If you do a search on X and you go type in XRP, you type in any of your favorite cryptos, you're going to see that you look across the board, all this emotion right now going on. You can see even on the top 10 right here within, 4%, 3%, 5%. That's profit taking, okay? And I think that right now with all of the volatility that's in the market, It's just to be what's observed, right? But XRP still bullish, in my personal opinion. We are trading above the 150 and the 200. I'm sorry, the 50, 100, and the 150 moving averages as we get into the new week. It'll be exciting to see where XRP can head, but I'm just really not concerned at these levels that this is anything of substance, right? We even talked about some of the comments from some prominent voices within the space and how they view potentially, Bitcoin falling to 88,000. We've heard all that negativity, and I'm not going to pump sunshine on a cloudy day. Yes, it's a red day for XRP. Am I just running for the hills? Am I exiting my positions? No. You guys are welcome to do whatever you want to do with your own crypto. Like I always say, I will never tell you to buy or sell any crypto, and I can't give you financial advice. I'll just tell you what I'm doing, and you can either listen to me or you can do what's best for you. Either way, it just is something where I think we're dealing with this current climate. Everybody's just so quick on the trigger, and for what it's worth, if we want to kind of date it to XRP, I mean, as bad as this Monday is, right, as long as people are just being so condescending and negative about the market sentiment overall, how can you ignore 12.1% up on the month? We got as high as $2.62. We're going to be rocky. It's going to be volatile, okay? And I would expect volatility, and if you are a crypto trader, you should as well, and that's kind of where each and every day presents its own different challenges, all right? But let's get back into the piece here where I want to talk about to you guys what is happening to XRP's price after the CME futures launch, okay? Now, everyone's talking about this, and as the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, for those of you that do not know, we'll talk briefly about what that actually is, preparing to launch their futures contract today, May 19th. This is something where you look at spot trading versus futures trading. Okay, the CME XRP futures will be cash settled, meaning traders do not own the underlying XRP. If you are a leverage trader, forgive me, this is pretty much, 101 for you guys. But for those of you that are not in the game, you need to have a little quick kind of insight before we get going. This is kind of where you allow particular bigger traders and particularly institutions to speculate or hedge positions without directly holding a physical asset, right? You're trading on leverage, and then that's obviously where liquidations can occur. And then if you, in the short of it, if you expect this asset to go up, you would be long on it, you would buy it. If you expect the price to rise, if you want to short sell it, that's kind of where you would anticipate a decline on the other end of that argument, okay? But there are a lot of ways that you can get involved. Obviously, people who do this for a living, institutionally, there's a lot of different strategies they do deploy. Okay, but right now, this is what we want to talk about and how this relates to the XRP price, because that's why you guys all tuned in, right? You want to know, where is my XRP headed, okay? But what history tells us about these futures launches, there's been two in specific that we're going to talk about. Bitcoin, that was when it went live in 2017 in December, reached an all-time high at that time at 19.7 on the charts shortly after the launch, only to drop 30% in the next few days. Now, this is something that did coincide with the peak of the bull cycle. So at the time, it's hard to correlate if that was because of a buy the rumor, sell the news, or if this was essentially just timing out the top. All right. Also, Ethereum CBOE futures launched in February 2018. And according to Alan, this is where we're going to look into Ethereum falling from 1,400 to 1,100 shortly after the futures became available. Okay, so these examples both suggest that the market within the futures market could trigger sell-off and profit taking along the way with downward pressure shortly after launch. So not to deter from my long bullish position from XRP, but if you are a swing trader out there in the market, you could reasonably connect the dots and kind of correlate this with, a little buy the rumor, sell the news within kind of these futures and how people start betting big and then get liquidated, so on and so forth, okay? But that's kind of where you look into professional traders and systems out there in the market that engage in basis trading, which will exploit the gap between the spot and futures market. And that's something where you can look for contago and the backwardation that we do see from time to time. And that's why market manipulation does occur. For everybody wondering what the hell is market manipulation, that's essentially one or two forms of which ways the big money players can make moves in the market. Okay. Now within this, guys, and I've done arbitrage in different manners, but this is something where it does introduce short-term volatility, and it does allow more of the retail side to be emotional, because it will subject you to becoming victim to a lot of these price fluctuations, right? For example, if you're one of those traders out there in the market that you have every single dollar you've ever made and have set aside for crypto, and not, you know, to put it bluntly, but maybe you're just over leveraged in XRP, all your eggs in one basket. And then all of a sudden you see a 30% drop, you run for the hills and boom. Or if you have a little bit more withstanding, could be the opposite. But those are just some minute examples on which way we can see these ebbs and flows, the short-term volatility really directly impact the way that retail traders carry out their business versus kind of the guys at the top, the big boys, the big guns in the market that do manipulate the market, right? And if you are believing in XRP, and as we turn back into the charts here, kind of give you guys an insight, right? Red candle, boom. Would it not shock me if we went on another run such as we saw back in May 8th, wicking as high as roughly $2.65? Well, that was 4 days of work here where XRP went up 25%. So that's kind of where you can leave yourself falling victim to some of these ebbs and flows within the market. And if you zoom out and you really do look at the greater narrative here, I think that we have going on, okay? And that's kind of where we can really put a bow on this discussion. There was a lot of red pattern days that we did see in the market, and this was dating back to April 8th of this year. And from there, guys, if you were to exit the positions, you know, instead of just holding the line, holding true, we're roughly about 40%, a little bit under that at current price levels today. Even higher if you were to look back at the local high at $2.60 plus cents, $2.66 to be exact. And that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it, right? So to answer kind of the question, what will the CME futures, what will that do to impact me as an XRP investor, XRP trader? The answer to that question is absolutely nothing, okay? So it's kind of a nothing burger in itself. But for me and my holdings, guys, it's not subject to what CME futures can bring to the table. It's more subject to the long-term organic grinded out growth that we do expect with XRP. And if you do believe in the roadmap and you believe in what they bring to the table, cross-border payments, replacing the SWIFT banking system, having a role within the United States government, it's all pretty much for nothing, because I do think that there is a way, an avenue that even without futures trading, the XRP token can have a serious, substantial impact on not just the charts, but each and every XRP trader. So those are my thoughts for the day. As always, guys, appreciate you following along. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. Links are down below in the description. Also, I do have that link down below for BTCC if you want to start trading on that platform. Up to 500x leverage. Make sure it's right for you and where you're located, but start trading today. You will find this welcome page where you can enjoy up to a pretty substantial sign-up bonus for first-time users, and that's where you can use my link down below to get a 10% bonus on first-time deposits. So check that out before you leave this page. Use that link, and if it's right for you, get started trading today. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, we'll be back tomorrow. I'm actually going to have another video talking XRP today, another headline that I wanted to cover, and we'll see you guys all tomorrow in the next video. Appreciate you all.